Hi, we're Robert and Kaylee Fukui, and welcome to Power Couples by Design. It's kind of a unique consulting program, wouldn't you say, honey?
Yes, very unique.
So people ask us a lot of times, what do you do? Sometimes I struggle with it, but the best way I can put it is we're marriage and business coaches. We help the married entrepreneur just like you find greater work-life balance. We found throughout the years, one, growing up in an entrepreneurial family, and even in ourselves in the early phase of our business, that entrepreneurs really struggle with finding balance in their life. Too many times, whether you're in startup mode or even sometimes 30 years in business, is that when things aren't going well, when you're looking to grow or take the business to the next level, we tend to just put more time in. That's the formula for success. Just put more time in, as opposed to working smarter, not harder. We've heard that adage, but inevitably we work harder, not smarter.
But where did people ever get that idea? Is there any stats on that we need to work harder in order to make more money and succeed?
Well, yeah, hard work is obviously a very great characteristic for an entrepreneur, just for people in general. But there is a point in time where putting in more time in, there's a point of diminishing return. And the more time you put in means you're robbing time away from family, right? And I know, what's your love language, honey?
Mine is time. Oh, gifts too.
Yeah, it depends on what day you're asking. But time, right? I mean, who doesn't want time with each other? And so, but too many times in small business that we're just working way too hard. And that's the first thing I noticed when I first started consulting small family business. Coming from a corporate Fortune 500 background, we had a lot of systems and processes in place to run the business as efficiently as possible. So we're not always just relying on more time in the business to make it successful. So I remember I was in that transition of trying to leave the corporate environment, and I was building my consulting practice on the side. And so what happens is I'm working obviously full-time during the day in my corporate job, and then in the evenings I'm working on the consulting. So going to bed at 2 a.m. was not that uncommon. So even though I was physically there with Kaylee, I wasn't very present sometimes.
No, he'd get in the couch, wake up, sit on the couch in the morning, and he's wanted to have his coffee, and then the next thing you know, he'd be dozing off.
Yeah, and so like I said, even though I was physically there, I wasn't present.
Yeah, and you promised me it wasn't going to last forever, so I thought, okay, I can do this for a season.
And so what happened was, went back to systems and processes. I was okay, how do we do things more efficiently? And a lot of that was about saying no to certain things. There's certain things that weren't really productive to grow the business. It was just kind of busy work. And so everybody won, right? I had more time with you. I wasn't physically exhausted or mentally and emotionally. And I was more productive in my two jobs, basically, my day job and in the consulting business. And then I noticed in the consulting practice with the business owners that we were dealing with that they were facing the same issue, but they weren't working two jobs like I was. So I'm like, wait a second, just because you're not working two jobs, I guess doesn't mean you still are struggling with work-life balance. And so that's when we decided to really start to focus in on helping married entrepreneurs create greater work-life balance, because what was going on in business and the amount of time they were putting in was hurting, relationships at home.
Yeah, and I think we came to realize too, it wasn't really working for us in the long run. I knew I could do it for short term, but for long term, it would have been pretty challenging.
So we took kind of what we learned and what helped us and then started to really apply it to our business clients. So we helped them be more successful, more scalable, but really with the intent and purpose to have more time back so they can have more time back with the relationships that matter most. So that's essentially how Power Couples by Design got started and what the heart behind it is. So it's part marriage coaching and in part business consulting, and blend the two together so that you can win in business and marriage at the same time.